flip-flops on, singing to that highway song. Got a little naive smile, the kind that drives you wild. Nothing like playing with fire, brings boy to life. Beat you with a fuse you light, you're dynamite. You made my day when you walked and sat down beside me, whispered with your eyes, let's go. You made me say, what's your name, girl, you're lonely. Can I call you if I ever go down this road? And I can't seem to find the thing I want to say. Girl, you made my day.
The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
14:20 in the morning, 14 minutes and 20 seconds where the sports talk to get you through your daily commute. Hot takes, recaps, best bets, and a little humor to get your day going in the right direction. Sit back, grab your coffee, and let's get into it. 14:20 in the morning for the St. Patrick's Day 2023. For those who don't know what date that is, that's still March the 17th, year in, year out. Most overrated day in the history of days, but that's my opinion. I'm entitled to it. Anyways, today's show is brought to you by Barn Burner Hockey and barnburnerhockey.ca. Use promo code 1420barn for their all 10% off their all natural hockey products and apparel at barnburnerhockey.ca. Thank you for making us a part of your morning each and every day here on Facebook Live and YouTube Live, and I don't even know where else this is playing. But today we're joined by sports reporter for the Medicine Hat News, James Tubb, reporter for the Medicine Hat Tigers, the whole bit. James, how are you doing today, sir?
I would say I'm feeling lucky, Brent, but I don't think you'd like that, so I'm doing good. How about you?
I don't mind Valentine's Day or St. Patrick's Day per se. It's just the how much publicity it gets for no reason. It's just like the older you get, it's just another day to go have a beer and the green stuff and everything. It's overdone to me. That's just me. I don't know.
Fair enough. You gotta have some green dye in a beer tonight, though.
I may saunter over to a local establishment and do that. I'd stay away from the Silver Buckle and Medicine Hat if I was you. That's a dangerous place on St. Valentine's Day. That's my advice to you. I'm in Lethbridge here, but I'll talk with Medicine Hat Tigers. A turnaround season. They're in the hunt for a playoff spot right now. They got a shot at getting in there. They're currently in 7th place in the East in a playoff spot. 6 games left. 3 up on Swift Current and Brandon. What's the vibe like around the team, and how's Coach Willie Desjardins taking this turnaround season?
Yeah, it's just excitement, Brent. Obviously, the nucleus of the team was there last year when they only had 11 wins and we're out of the playoff hunt in December, January. So there's a lot of excitement, whether it's the 20-year-olds getting one last kick at the can or the 16-year-olds. So this is their first full season, and they want to get that playoff experience. I think there's a lot of guys just motivated for that. They just want to experience playoff hockey, and they don't want to have 2 seasons without it. So that's it's not hard to rally around. We got to make the playoffs. They're doing quite the job at it.
And that's the good thing you mentioned that. And a lot of these guys, like they'll play their last competitive hockey game in the coming weeks. It's just the way things roll with junior hockey. And if you don't want to, I don't want to say waste your career, but that's kind of the way you look back 30 years and go, geez, we never made the playoffs. It's kind of something you would miss out on. That's a good point. Like you got to know that there's realistic goals when it comes to junior hockey. That we might get some kind of a Cinderella run, but just to make the playoffs, like you said, it's kind of one of those things. It's very important for the 19, 20, because some 19-year-olds, they aren't coming back next year either, because with the 20-year-olds that are only allowed to play.
Yeah, 100%. It's guys just like trying to capitalize as much as they can. And I know a couple have said that, like, I need this for my career. I need to prove that I can play playoff hockey and perform there. And I know, like, of the 20-year-olds the Tigers have, 2 of them, they're the only 2 players on the team that have playoff experience because of COVID and stuff like that. And it's going to be like you said, you want to add it to your resume so you can market yourself a little better once junior hockey's done.
What's the rest of the vibe around the team? The 16-year-olds, they must be a little bit excited to get out there and play meaningful games again, and the like. It's a lot different. You get in the dog days of January when it's cold and you got the rink and everything else. What's the rest of the vibe like around the guys? And is there like, yeah, we're doing this no matter what? It's not. It's just like we're in the playoffs. We're not going to lose. Is that kind of the vibe that's around them right now?
Very much, and it's a lot of just that this playoff hunt began in January for this team, and they don't show signs of exhaustion from that. They're enjoying it every night. Every night's a game 7. I know it's cliche, but that's the message we get, and just they want to prove themselves. So whether that's coming to the rink early, staying later, anything like that, they're just hungry for that postseason, and yeah, they're ready to go, and they've got 6 games left here, and they're kind of approaching this like a 6-game series. The whole season here, actually, the second half, they've been breaking it up in 3-game segments. So you don't look too far ahead, right? If you start doing standings watching February and stuff like that, you're gonna burn yourself out. But they've been doing it 3-game segments, trying to win those, going from there, and they've won pretty much every one of those 3-game segments here. So they're just gonna keep doing that over the last 6 here and try to stay in that 7th spot.
You know, that's a funny thing, and like I've said this with I'm a baseball guy as well as you are. And like if you win 2 out of 3 in a baseball season, you win 108 games. That's kind of that's a very lofty season to have. But why not do that 2 out of 3 like in the NHL? You would win 54 games, and that gets you in, right? So it's one of those things that more teams should probably look at that, say, okay, and not schedule losses, because I think that's ridiculous to say we're going to lose this game, but to break a season down that way, I think it's a really smart thing to do. The turnaround that they've had this year, like you said, last year with the 11 wins or whatever it was, and it's been an odd few years, like you said, with the COVID and everything else. What's been the biggest difference with this Tigers team this year under Coach Willie Desjardins and Joe Fraser and the like?
I think it has just been confidence, Brent. I think that's the story I've been writing and hearing from guys the whole season here. It's just they got the crap kicked out of them last year. They were in every game until they weren't. And I know that sounds silly, but like they just didn't have the skill and they didn't have the experience that other teams did. Now guys have grown up a little bit. They've been through the trenches in the WHL, and now they're starting to become a lot better actually, and it's that confidence that comes with playing in the league, knowing you're good because you're not getting pumped 7-4 or 6-3 every night. And it's just been that confidence that's built, and guys having individual success, line success, and seeing their friends and teammates have that success too. It's built a lot of confidence, and it's safe to say they're riding pretty high with that as they try to make that playoff push.
You wrote in the Medicine Hat News the other day an article about how the players respond to the big crowds when the Connor Bedard show hits town, and they sold a new record for Co-op Place with 6,500 people in there, or 6,410, whatever the number was. And then back in February as well with the big crowd, and then they had another big crowd with one of the best teams in the country, the Kamloops Blazers, and the Tigers kind of pumped the Blazers that night, and the place was packed again that night. What's been the thing? And like it's when you're playing in front of big crowds, it's easier to get the motivation going. What's been the not the problem, because I don't want to collect problems, but what's been the issue for getting people to come out after games like that? Because when nothing draws a crowd like a crowd, and when they have the Tigers win those games and people just the next night, it's like it never happened. What's been the why, like what's management been like around there? Like, why aren't people coming? Like, because they're only averaging 2,500 or so a night. And if you're averaging 2,500 tickets, that means there's only 2,000 in the building, if that, right?
Yeah, I think, Brent, I don't think it's just the medicine at time. I'll call it a problem, because it is a problem for junior hockey. It's not, a lot of teams can't survive on having, they're building a third full or anything like that. And I don't want to pass the buck off from the Tigers, but I've noticed around the league, anytime I watch a Tigers road game, there's not a lot of buildings that are full. I mean, Winnipeg's full, but that's because they can only hold 1,500 people in whatever you want to reference that stadium. I don't know if you can call it an arena. But yeah, it's an issue around the league, I've noticed. But for here, I kind of don't blame. At the start of the season, I didn't blame fans, because coming off of an 11-win season, yeah, you're skeptical. COVID has kind of wreaked havoc where you couldn't see a game for a long time. And at first, maybe you didn't want to, you're like, I don't know what this team's going to be. But now I think they're starting to show what they can be. And that's been the message from the team and the coach staff, everyone, is that just they're proving that they're in the hunt. They want this. and they want the fans to back them up. They appreciate the fans for the Connor Bedard game, but like they got some really good players too that they want to showcase. And I wouldn't be the amount of people I have heard, Brent, that are saying, "Well, I'm getting season tickets for next year. This was awesome," after the Bedard game, or talking about just coming to Saturday's game and stuff like that. That says, "All right, I can see what this team can do." So I think it is going to pick up. I wouldn't be surprised if it's this season still in the playoffs, but I think next season, like the home opener and even game 25, if that's at home, I think we're going to see bigger crowds, and everything's coming up Medicine Hat right now.
Well, that's good because, like, you hate to reference the old barn, and everybody always does back in Minnesota. I used to love going to that place, and it was, but that's, geez, I don't want to say 10 years now, but it's been a while since they've been in the new place, 7 anyways, right? So,
Yeah,
6, 7 years that they've been there, and you kind of got to forget that eventually you got to break up with the old girlfriend and move on to something else, right? And it's one of those things that people just need to forget it. Yeah, it's a little bit different to get out there, but it's the same driving distance and the like, and it's things do change, and people have to realize that you're not going back, and because of the 4,006 people, and there would be 4,006 in the building every night, and like I said, nothing draws a crowd like a crowd. And you start winning some games, people will start to go more. Hopefully, it's kind of one of those things. The Tigers don't have anybody in the top 10 in league scoring, top 20, top 30. I had to go all the way down to number 65 on the list when I was doing some research last night to talk to you. Oasis Weisblatt is 65th in league scoring. It's a group effort with this hockey club that they're putting some wins together. 27 wins so far. That's nothing to sneeze at or whatever it is. What's been like, is that just the vibe of the team? Like, we're doing this together. We can do it. We don't have any superstars, so let's put on our hard hats and let's go to work.
it's a classic Willie Desjardins coach team, Brent. It is that it's 4 lines, and if they don't have all 4 lines going, whether line 1 or 2 is offense, 3 is defense, and 4 is a bit of both, they're just not going to win, and they know that. And I think there's a lot of guys that bought into roles early, and they've got that depth scoring from guys like Shane Smith, who is, I believe, he's top 10 in rookie scoring. Same with Caden Lindstrom. It's guys like that that just propel them, and whether it's Oasis Weisblatt and Andrew Basha, who had 4 goals against Regina Saturday. It is just that rotation of 4 different lines. Some nights one line's hot, the other's not. But that and defense, I think their defense could go top 5, top 10 in the league. Just how structured they are, and the responsibility and the roles of guys like Rhett Parsons and Drew Krebs, the Washington Capitals pick. But yeah, it is just an even team throughout, and it starts with Becca Lankow and Evan May and net, and they just stand tall, and they give the guys a lot of confidence in front of them.
Yeah, I was going to bring them up. I'm glad you did, because I'm an old goalie hugger from way back, and it's one of those things where you look at the stat lines, and the stat when you have an 880 save percentage and your goals against is 3.2, 3.5 around there, it's those were good stats back in the 80s and the 90s, but nowadays you want to have guys in the 2s and the 920s and that, and so stats with goaltenders I think can be a lot misleading. How have those two guys been playing, and tell me about the stat lines in comparison to what you actually see.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard looking at like Becca Lankow stats. I'm sure they're not where he would want to be, but I think the thing that he takes pride in the most is that he's top 3 in the league in minutes played, saves, games played, and he gets a lot of shots every game because he's in almost every game. And at the start of the year, he said he wanted to play 68 games. Obviously, that's not going to happen. But when you have a guy that has that kind of energy and wants to play that much, I think it's rubbed off on his teammates, and they notice, okay, he wants to be in there and fight for us every day, and we're going to do the same. And then when Evan May came over early in the season and he traded from Everett, his stats from the year before at, I believe it was the AAA level, were misleading, but that was a really bad team he played on. So he gets here and he's impressed. I want to say he's stolen hearts of people ever since. People love Evan May. It's always May Day when he's in the net, right? And in a good way. But when he got his first win and he keeps going, and then he stole a win against Winnipeg for the Tigers and almost did it twice the last time they faced the ice. So yeah, there's a lot of confidence in whatever name gets tabbed in net, and I think that goes from the top of the organization to the bottom.
You got the Tigers have 6 games left, 2 with Calgary, 2 with Edmonton, 2 with Swift Current, 3-3 home and home. They're basically just home and home is what it comes down to. What's your prediction? What do they have to do to secure it? Because this time of year, when you become a mathematician, that's every sports fan does. Whatever team you're watching, they become mathematicians, and usually you don't like to have to be in that position to be like, we got to win this many. Da, 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 da. Usually you're out of it at that point. When you start doing it with 20 games left, and the calculator comes out or the abacus, you're basically screwed. What do the Tigers need to do? Like you'd like to win 6 in a row, but that's tough to do at any level. What do the Tigers got to do this next week and a half left, or the last week of the season? What do they got to do for record-wise, you think, to secure that the 7th or 8th playoff spot?
Well, to do math, I think it's 8 points they need to clinch. I'm not a math guy, Brent, and I got told there wasn't math in this job, but I'm pretty sure that's what they need. So the biggest thing is you got to win the Edmonton games. It's nothing against the Oil Kings. The Tigers were there last year. Those are games you have to win when a team's not going to get double-digit victories this season. Tigers are there tonight, and then you get that home-and-home with Calgary, and you got to get at least 3 points from there with Calgary right behind you in the standings. You got to win that little series here, and then I know the goal for them is to get a spot clinched before they get Swift Current. You don't want to have to travel down to Swift Current and then host them here Saturday, because it'll be 6 games in 9 days for the Tigers at that point, and you just want to get that clinched before then, or maybe just need to get a point in those games. But yeah, they just got to keep playing the way they're playing and not look at that yet, not start booking their travel for playoffs yet, and just stay within those games and just come out with some wins this weekend.
Yeah, you don't want to get into that last 2 games down in Speedy Creek, and then have the Swift Current Broncos come in and be party wreckers, party crashers, I guess, because buttholes can clench up a little bit when it comes down to those kind of games. You got young kids, that would be a tough go, and you don't want it to come down to a bounce or a bad call or something that goes against you. You want to control what you can control, and that's the best way to avoid the situation, right? And that would be a tough thing. It would be exciting for the fans, but you'd like to have something wrapped up in the coming days. Like, yeah, you got to beat Edmonton both games and go in and just take care of it, and all these games just go in, and hopefully the fans will come out a little bit and have it going. Prediction time. Let's say are they going to get in?
Yeah, I think so. I think the confidence of the group is just too high to not get in, and there's a belief in there that they're going to play. They're going to get to play in the postseason.
Like we talked about earlier, if they get into the playoffs, winning a round, like, who would you rather see the Tigers play in that first round if they can somehow sneak into the 6th spot? Because that's not out of the question yet. There's that math thing again, but that's not out of the question. I assume you'd want to avoid the Winnipeg travel and everything else, and playing Winnipeg. What would your, as a Tiger reporter, as a Tiger fan now, who would you rather see them play in the first round if James Tubb could make the pick out of the hat right now?
I would like them to avoid Winnipeg. Obviously, I think they would too. They've played Winnipeg really tough though this season, so I don't think it would be a 4-gamer. But you want to avoid that because they built for this season, and the Tigers, that's coming up for them. So avoid Winnipeg. But for me, if they got Red Deer or Saskatoon, those are both teams. They beat Red Deer this season. Haven't beat Sask yet, but they were in every game. And it was just a couple of bounces that went the Blades away in those games, and even Red Deer. So I think either opponent the Tigers get, structure-wise, Saskatoon and Red Deer both have really good goaltending. And I think that'd be the X factor in that series. So whatever team you get, you're going to face good goaltending. Red Deer obviously is as structured as they come, and it's going to be a tough series either way. But I think either Saskatoon or Red Deer, the Tigers could maybe beat.
Well, and the thing with playing like a team like Red Deer, like if you can squeak out a series win there, your travel is so much less too, Haley. It's only a few hours up the road. It's not bad. Whereas if you had to go to Winnipeg back and forth, and if that one went the distance, you wouldn't have much left for the second round, because it's traveling. It's for people who listen to the show across the United States. They travel on buses. They're not flying anywhere. And so that can get a little bit tough. And as soon as the game's over, you're hopping on the bus after game 2 and you're going home, and you're not staying at the Hilton by any means overnight. So it's junior hockey's it's a crazy thing. It's good to have the Tigers involved in relative games again. And because, like I said, after the COVID situation, and like I was saying off air, my brother, he lives out in Victoria, and there's a lot of games for the last month and a half out there that the teams just mailed it in, and they don't care at all, and the players just are out of it. Have you sensed that a lot throughout the league? Because you watch a lot more than I do. Have you sensed that a lot throughout the league, that there's teams that are just like that are going, yeah, we're going to keep going, but there's teams like, yeah, we're looking to the 24th of or the 26th of March. See you later. Do you sense that around the league a lot?
I think it's hard not knowing being in that room, Brent, but there is some teams that are in the last 5 spots in the standings that have been eliminated for a while, and I can't say the same about the Prince Albert Raiders. I know they're still pushing; they can be eliminated tonight, but it might be like a quiet understanding of like, all right, we got a couple games left here, let's get them done. We'll do the exit meetings during the week of the final game, and once that puck's done, there's guys leaving that night, and
It is
I don't want to
crazy
say
how
that's
quick they
yeah.
leave. Like, it's
Oh,
nuts.
the game before Christmas break, I know doing post game interviews, I got to be quick, or else guys are leaving before I'm down there. I'm like, oh, okay, I know you got to get home for Christmas, but like, wouldn't mind talking to you. So yeah, no, and I don't blame them, right? They're hockey
They're
24/7, and if they get a chance to just get away from that for a little bit, I don't blame them. I mean, everyone takes vacations, right?
You let's get into WA, like the rest of the Western League quick and get you out of here. You got work to do, and I got stuff I got to get going on. Who's going to win this whole thing? Like, I know we had a prediction. We talked a little bit back in January, I think it was. Who do you got winning this whole thing? Because every team loaded up at the deadline. That's when we last talked. Who do you got now that it's all, the dust is settled, things are happening? Who do you got pulling this thing off? Because there's some powerhouse teams out west that like that Kamloops team looks good. Seattle looks really good. Like, who do you got winning this whole thing? Portland's right there.
I think I'm trying to remember the deadline. I think I said Kamloops or Seattle, and it's Seattle for me. I just think they're so deep of a team. I mean, the Dylan Gunther ad was kind of at the deadline. I remember saying no, and then I saw the tweet from Seattle ahead of a Tigers game, and I was like, "Whoa, this is that's a legit team," and I think they can beat out Winnipeg. I mean, Kamloops. It'll be interesting to see how Kamloops performs in the playoffs, knowing they already have a spot in the Mem Cup. I don't think they would mail it in or by any means, but that'll be interesting to see. And it is Seattle. Like, you got the World Junior guys there. You got Thomas Much and that. They're just a heck of a team. And I think as good as Kamloops is, I'm not really sold on their goaltending 100%. Same with Winnipeg. It is just going to go, for me, it's Seattle, Brent. Easiest. How about you?
Seattle, Winnipeg, that's a bit of travel, but they can fly, can't they?
If both teams agree to paying for it, I think they can travel or by plane. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I mean, what a bus ride if it's not, right?
Oh man, that reminds me of the old Brandon Wheat Kings and Portland Winterhawks series way back in the 80s. My God, that's a lot. I'm going to say I would rather see Winnipeg not be in, just for the simple fact that they're kind of a Mickey Mouse organization with the arena they're playing in, and yeah, they 100%. Loaded up with players, and it's not the players' fault by any means. The players they can only play where they're told to play, but I would just rather a team like that not. It's kind of a bad look on the Western Hockey League if Winnipeg was to, and that's a pretty childish take. I'm almost 50 years old now.
I'm not. You're not. I'm not totally disagreeing with you.
Is the rest of the league kind of think the same way? They're like, what the hell is going on here?
I think it is just kind of like. It is a bit of an embarrassment in the league. 1,500 fans, that's all you can hold. Yeah. And
then they don't even get that. They don't even get 1,500 at the games. Like,
it depends on who's. It is. I don't know. I agree. It wouldn't. That's why I want that kind of. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So I'd rather see like a team like Saskatoon with a rich hockey history in there. I'd like to see them get in there because they've never actually won the whole thing. I'd like to see a Saskatoon and a Seattle situation, because I'd like to see a Seattle team to see what they could do in a Memorial Cup and bring the Memorial Cup back to Western League. Because we've already got Kamloops in there. I'd like to see a Seattle team. Although I'd like a Canadian team. Like, they're all Canadian kids basically, but I'd like to see
I'm sure a lot of people would like to see Regina too. I don't know if that would happen. They've got quite the battle in the playoffs, but
it'd be great for the ratings. That kid, man, he's drawn them in all over everywhere still. I saw him the 2 times he came here. He wasn't outstanding by any means. Like, he didn't really do much, and you guys shut him out the one night.
Yeah, and Lethbridge is the one that broke his streak. Point streak.
Everybody was waiting for this kid to do something. All of a sudden, okay, well, there's that.
I don't know if frustration or tiredness was setting in that game. It was also, they were in Alberta. It was a 2-game road trip. They lost a heartbreaker in Lethbridge the night before in overtime, and then they came here, and it wasn't the Connor Bedard I was used to seeing, I guess is the easiest way to say it. Frustration set in early, and Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he kind of battles here heading down the stretch, and then heading into what will be his first and only playoffs in junior hockey.
Yeah, and his only, like, he's end up with if he ends up in Arizona, that'd be an absolute disaster for the Bedard camp. I could see. I mean, we talked about it a while ago, me and the guy that I do the other show with. But does he pull the Lindros and say, "Don't bother," because I ain't going.
I don't think he likes the attention enough to do it. Not that Lindros did, but I just think Connor would go where he goes, and Regina's not the sexiest spot either, so I think he's all right.
He would have more people watching him in Regina next year than would be watching him in Arizona.
Probably, yeah.
Oh, what a
no! I think he's going to be a half. I think that's just how it's going to break, and he's going to go play in one of Canada's biggest markets.
That'd be really good for hockey and really good for Montreal because they definitely need it. Anyways, James, thanks a lot for doing this. We'll figure something off air. We'll talk a little bit off air what we're going to do for the WHL playoffs and get talking. Maybe we'll have Are you going to hit the road at all, or do you got to stay at home?
The plan is, I mean, if it's Winnipeg that the Tigers end up drawing, I think that might be a little too far, a little too costly. But the plan is any other team, we're going to be there front row and covering the game.
That's good. No, that's how it should be. I think that you can watch it on online or whatever. You don't get the same feel, and trying to Mickey Mouse through a report. And you can when you read those things in the paper, you can say that guy wasn't at the game. They saw the stat line, and you go, yeah, this was it. Then you can just tell because all the quotes are basically that. Well, we played hard. We tried, whatever. You can always tell. So getting the reporters on the road, I think, is very important. Thanks for doing this, James. We'll do it again during the playoffs.
Sounds good. Can't wait.
The Flailing Tender Hockey Podcast is happy to have partnered up with Barn Burner Hockey. Barn Burner Hockey is a hockey lifestyle brand that is motivated by making all-natural, chemical-free hockey products for players of all ages and skill levels. Get yourself the Filthy Mist deodorizing equipment spray, the Dirty Dangles 2-in-1 shampoo and body wash. They've also got 2 different types of stick wax, hockey accessories, and apparel that will not only make you look good, but feel great on and off the ice. So go to barnburnerhockey.ca and use promo code 1420BARN and receive 10% off your purchase. That's 1420BARN at checkout at barnburnerhockey.ca. Barn Burner Hockey is so confident that you will love their all-natural products, they offer a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Barn Burner Hockey and the Flailing Tender Hockey Podcast, created for players by players.